You use mesh utility bags as multi-purpose containers for bulky stuff that's hard to hang on to underwater. You'll use them for tasks like underwater cleanups, or project-aware dive-against-debris activities, or carrying small loose items on a dive. They're also useful for carrying wet items after diving, like exposure suits. See your local dive center for choices best suited to what you have in mind. An important point: hand carry a loaded mesh utility bag while diving, so you can let go of it if it tangles or weighs you down. You use a slate or wet book for communication, writing down dive information, and so on. You can choose from different size slates. Pick one you can pocket easily. Wet books use waterproof paper and offer more room for writing. Most are about this size, and because they flex, fit comfortably in exposure suit thigh pockets. When you night dive in the Advanced Open Water Diver course, you obviously need a dive light, but many divers find one useful during the day. Larger lights are more powerful and have longer burn times, though technology advances have made even the larger lights more compact. Ask your dive professional for assistance in choosing different battery, power, and size options. After choosing a light, you'll want a clip so you can attach it to your BCD, and a wrist lanyard so you don't lose it in use. You will start your dive log as part of your training. Many divers like the time-proven PADI dive log, but there are many other sizes and styles of dive logs to choose from. Also, you can go with an online, tablet, or PC e-log. Many dive computers download to programs like these, making logging convenient. Your dive log provides an experience record you'll use for continuing your education, and it's a good place to record emergency information, dive buddy phone numbers and email addresses, equipment serial numbers, and so on. For each dive, you want to record the date, dive site, depth, duration, buddy name or names, and usually your objective, and some notes or a description of anything significant that happened. Your log also provides a resource for sharing information with others at Scuba Earth and on other online sites. Dive planning software helps you plan your air use and determine your allowable dive times. The most popular versions operate in your smartphone or tablet, though you can get personal computer programs. Some versions interface with your dive computer and also include e-log functions. Since a missing O-ring or torn strap can make you miss a dive, most divers have a spare parts kit. It's simply a collection of user-replaceable items and tools like these in a sturdy box you keep in your gear bag. In setting up your spare parts kit, start with these basics, but choose a box somewhat larger than you need. As you gain experience, you'll add to the kit. So leave some space for these, but don't overload it with things you don't actually use. You dive relaxed, but like any sport, diving can be physically strenuous, such as when walking in your gear, swimming in a current, or when responding to an emergency. So, stay reasonably fit with a regular exercise program approved by your physician. Eat well, get adequate rest, and keep immunizations current. It's also a good idea to have a physical examination regularly. Like any physical activity, diver stresses put demands on your heart and cardiovascular system. This can happen lifting and carrying gear due to heat stress from wearing exposure suits in the sun, and so on. These factors can cause heart attacks in predisposed individuals, and they can be issues for other cardiovascular conditions. If you have or may have increased cardiovascular risk, be sure to discuss it with your physician. Never use alcohol or tobacco prior to diving. If you drink, use moderation the night before diving. Some drugs can create problems while diving, so be cautious and consult your physician if you're unsure whether you can use a particular drug. You want to be in good physical health when diving. If you feel ill, cancel the dive. Dive again when you're well, and as you've already learned, don't use medications to eliminate symptoms and dive while you're sick. Diving is supposed to be fun, and you enjoy it by diving when healthy. Like in any activity, you keep your dive skills and knowledge sharp by using them and by diving regularly. If you can't get to open water, practice in a pool with a buddy. Staying up to date includes interacting with other divers and online communities like Scuba Earth because it helps you keep up with current trends and practices. If you go more than 6 months without diving, see your PADI instructor about refreshing your knowledge and skills in the Scuba Review program. Continuing your diver education is a great way to stay sharp because you use existing skills while developing new ones. You can do this in the PADI Advanced Open Water Diver course, specialty diver courses, and other programs that expand your experience and qualifications. Most recreational diving uses air as a breathing gas. Air is actually a mix of gases. Practically speaking, it is 21% oxygen and 79% nitrogen. We'll look at 4 issues that relate to breathing air underwater: oxygen toxicity, contaminated air, decompression sickness, and gas narcosis. We'll look at oxygen toxicity, contaminated air, and decompression sickness in this section, and gas narcosis later in Section 5. Although we need oxygen to live, under pressure, oxygen becomes toxic. It also has fire and combustion issues with equipment. When using air within recreational depth limits, though, neither of these are significant issues. Enriched air nitrox, however, is air enriched with oxygen, so it has a lower nitrogen proportion and a higher oxygen proportion. This has advantages compared to using regular air, but oxygen toxicity and equipment concerns can be issues with enriched air nitrox. You can learn to handle these issues in the PADI Enriched Air Diver course. But until you're certified as an enriched air diver, don't use a cylinder labeled as an enriched air cylinder. Contaminated air is air with impurities in it. It's very rare in diving. Contaminated air may smell or taste bad, but not necessarily. Signs and symptoms of contaminated air include headache, nausea, dizziness, unresponsiveness, and cherry red lips or nail beds. Never dive with air that smells or tastes bad, and end the dive immediately if you start feeling ill. Have a diver who may have breathed contaminated air breathe fresh air and provide oxygen if available. Contact emergency medical care. Avoid contaminated air by getting your cylinder filled only by reputable professional scuba centers. These operators use specialized breathing air compressors and filters and know the value of regular air testing. You've learned that you have time limits underwater beyond how long your air lasts or how long you stay warm. One of these comes from nitrogen. During a dive, increased pressure causes nitrogen to dissolve from your air into your body tissues. The greater the pressure, that is, the deeper you are, and the longer you're down, the more nitrogen dissolves into your body. Your body doesn't use nitrogen, so when you ascend and the pressure drops, this excess nitrogen dissolves back out of your body tissues. If the extra nitrogen isn't